let's get flying.
.001 today. We are currently flying over Lake Anau. Now Lake Anau is New Zealand's second largest lake. It is the largest volume of fresh water in all of Australasia. It has a length of 65 kilometres all the way up to the start of the Milford track, and it has a circumference of around about 530 kilometres. Counter traffic Delta Romeo India is airborne for lakefront, climbing through 1,000 feet hidden lakes. Over here on the left hand side is Broad Bay. Now Broad Bay is the start of the Kepler track. The Kepler track takes between 3 to 5 days to walk. About 4.5 hours to run as the record. We can fly it in around about 20 minutes, that's what I prefer. On board today we have a lovely bunch of customers. You want to say hi to your camera? You can. Now, coming up underneath us in this next landmass is something quite special. What happened is about 14,000 years ago, the glacier came out of the South Fjord, parts of it broke off and melted in the dirt. It left the 13 hidden lakes of Te Anau. Only visible by the air, each one of these small lakes is around about 900 feet deep each, which means they are deeper than sea level and we can hide a skyscraper in some of them. And they'll start to appear out both sides of the aircraft. Now the hidden lake at the top right hand corner, this was the first tourist attraction in the region back in the late 1800s. This is still available. by the number of cruisers here on Lake Anau. Now, on the left-hand side we have the South Fjord. Now there are only 3 freshwater fjords in the region. All 3 of them are here on Lake Anau. The South Fjord is around about 1.5 times larger than Milford. It's less accessible, and for that reason alone, I find it as beautiful. One thing you will notice around here is the lack of beaches. Now that's quite normal for a glacial formed waterway. The South Fjord is around about 1.5 times larger than Milford and less accessible. There's no roads to it. Now the South Fjord is around about 1/3 the depth of the mountains around it. The mountain on the left-hand side is Mount Luxmore, almost the highest point in the Kepler track. The mountains on the right-hand side are the Murchison Mountains, and this is where the Takahe were rediscovered. Over on the right here is a beautiful U-shaped valley. This has been formed by the ice pushing its way down the valley. One more thing that you will notice around this region particularly are the tree avalanches. This is a stripe where the trees are all missing off the Alps. Now in the Southern Alps, there's no dirt for the trees to grow into. The trees are all rooting into granite, into rock. The average rainfall around here is between 3 to 6 meters a year. When the trees get too heavy, they'll avalanche away. Now a tree avalanche will take around about 400 years to reforest. Now is a great time to remind you that the Fiordland National Park, not only is it the largest national park in New Zealand, but it's also a World Heritage Park and it's the second largest in the world. About 2.2 million hectares. 99% of it has never been and will never be touched by human hands or feet. We were talking about tree avalanches. Over here on the left is one that I prepared about 8 months ago. And you can see exactly what's underneath the trees. Rock, that's all there is. There'll be another tree avalanche on the right-hand side very shortly. The one happened about 8 years ago. Down here on the right is the very head of the South Fjord, looking up the Mackenzie Burn, up to Mount Irene, one of the highest mountains in the region, about 6,000 feet. We are now going to fly through the Southern Alps of New Zealand. Now the Southern Alps are the world's second fastest growing alpine system. They are being caused by the tectonic plates pushing between New Zealand and Australia. It's not volcanic. If it wasn't for the westerly weather patterns and the erosion that goes with it, this would be the fastest growing alpine system in the world. Truth is, these mountains are growing at the same rate as your fingernails per year. This is the part where I say, oh no, I've taken the wrong way, I don't know how to get out. This is the fun way to see the Alps. I quite agree. Now over here on the right is a beautiful alpine lake called Lake Heries. It doesn't quite freeze, but it gets very close. We talked about how there's only granite underneath the trees. On the left-hand side here, shows it really graphically exactly what's underneath the foliage. Some beautiful granite here on the right-hand side. There's a wee waterfall. I don't think it's going to work because we haven't had any rain. You'll see the white stripe where it sometimes works, but that's okay. On the left-hand side is one that I prepared earlier. Now over here on the right hand side, I would love to tell you that this is Doubtful Sound, but that would be a complete and utter lie. But the truth is, it looks identical. So I'm going to leave you with the illusion that I've flown you over to Doubtful Sound today. The only difference between this and Doubtful Sound is that this is fresh water versus salt water. Okay. Over here on the right's a beautiful waterfall down here. Now that's fed by the Norwest Lakes. The Norwest Lakes featured halfway through the first Lord of the Rings movie when the actors were going south from Rivendell. Okay, it's time to burst your bubble. We are actually in Lake Manapuri. Now, Lake Manapuri has been voted New Zealand's most beautiful lake. There are 33 islands in it, and almost all of them are forested. It is most famous for the power station over here on the right-hand side. It took 10 years to build the first tunnel between Doubtful Sound and Manapuri. That was in the 60s, and the second tail race was done in the 80s. To this day, that's still New Zealand's greatest engineering achievement. Manapuri traffic, Delta Romeo India is coming out of the north arm Manapuri 1500 for a landing in Calm Bay. The island over here on the right hand side is Pomona Island. This is New Zealand's largest freshwater island, and it's also predator free. I have made a Manapuri traffic, Delta Romeo Hotel landing in Calm Bay. Well, welcome to paradise. Lovely. We can now talk about the headsets, but not required. The mountain over here on the right hand side, the white one, this is Mount Titiaroa. This is a pummel granite mountain, giving it the impression that it's snow covered all year round, even when it's not. That's just its natural colour. We're now going to fly over the Waiau River. The Waiau River is one of the world's best freshwater fishing rivers, fish per kilometre. But it's been made more famous now because it was used in the first Lord of the Rings movie for all of the river scenes. One of the movie locations over here on the left-hand side, the sweeping corner. And the other movie location is coming up on the right-hand side. There's a big, long straightaway of river. Above that, the town over here is the town of Manapori, and that's home to about 300 people. That Lord of the Rings movie location is round about just down here on the right hand side. Manapori Traffic Delta Romeo India's come up on balloon loop at 1,300, tracking the way off the control gates. Down here on the right hand side you'll see a tar seal road going through a bunch of trees. Just right down here. This was the Manapori Power Station village. And here there was houses, shops, schools, the whole lot. Once the power station was finished, the whole lot was taken away. Above that, the brown swamps in the distance were used as the swamps of Mordor in the second Lord of the Rings movie. And then down here on the left is the swing bridge, which marks the end of the Kepler track at Rainbow Reach. This is one of the places that you can drive to, walk a bit of the Kepler track without wearing yourself out.
We did that right when it opened.
Oh, fantastic.
Down there, walked it 2 years ago.
That's a great example of on the right hand side rural farming New Zealand, on the left hand side the national park. How different they are and how all New Zealand would have been before we colonised. Right hand side is the golf course of Anau. It's only $40 for a game of golf. That's not bad for a tourist destination. And then at the top of the Waiau we have the control gates. Now there's no power generated here. This is just to try and control the lake level. It's also one more place that you can drive to, walk a bit of the Kepler track without wearing yourself out. Channel Traffic Delta Romeo India, the control gates 1,200 for a lakefront landing. Now on the way back in, there's some beautiful colours on the shoreline of Tui Bay. You might be able to see the two totem poles of Te Anau on the right hand side on the guy's front lawn. I don't know why they're there, but they are. And I'm also going to fly you over the bird sanctuary. Now that's free of charge, and it's they also have the live takahe there. And if you're buckled in, we're going for a landing.